Coaching Soccer Weekly, episode 347. Lines from the Ball. Entertaining, educational, and inspiring soccer content to help make you a more effective coach, player, or soccer parent. Hello and welcome back to Coaching Soccer Weekly, presented by World Class Coaching. My name is Sega Verbinovich, and this is the podcast devoted to bringing you cutting-edge methods, techniques, and tactics for coaching soccer. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced coach who has been training teams for many years, or if you're new to coaching and working with the team for the very first time. There's something we can all do to take our coaching to the next level. Well, it was nice to get back into the league. We had 4 games this week. All of our teams played. That's going to be something rare. I think that's going to happen moving forward. We're in 2 different leagues, 2 different districts. And in each district, we have 2 teams, and those teams are going to be alternating every week. So one week, it'll probably be like the U9s and the under 13s. The under 11s. The under 11 and 10s because they're playing together. And then the week after is probably going to be the U12 11s and the U13. So that's just kind of how it came out. So I'll have 1 game Saturday, 1 game Sunday, which is really nice. It's a really nice schedule to be able to just go 1 for 1 game. And so excited about that. The games really went as I thought they would, I kind of mentioned that 3 of our 4 teams are playing up essentially. So every team seemed to struggle with that, which is exactly what I thought would happen. I think that our 2013 team, which is our U10 team playing a U10, U11 league, they, I would say, did really well from the terms of doing their 1v1 moves. There were 4 or 5 different players that it's just part of their arsenal now. With the 2010s, our U13 team, it's really not. Their possession game is much more of their identity than their 1v1 game, and that's a little disappointing if I'm being honest. And that's simply because that's the group that kind of went through COVID, so they missed 2 years, which I think was that key development age where it just becomes an unconscious part of playing the game. That U9, U10 age group, we really ingrain the moves into the players and force them to use it so much that it's just it's part of how they see a way forward for to dribble the ball. Like to get forward, they need to use a move. Whereas with the other players, with the 2010s, the U13 team, they just dribble through players, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the best players in the world, body fake and this and that. It's a little bit frustrating considering the amount of time we spend on it. I think it's just harder as players get older to change the way that they play, right? And it's the saying, can't teach an old dog new tricks, that type of thing. So the younger we get them, it usually ends up being the more moves they use. And that was evident with our 2014s. Our 2014s went exactly as I thought it would. We absolutely dominated the game. I think we ended up winning 3 or 4-1, something like that. But the nature in which we did it, we had 3 players that were playing up 1 year or up 2 years, and those players dribbled through others like they were butter, like knife through butter, and the rest of our team did as well. We had 1 player, and at certain points, they would just dribble through 4 players. There were 4 players on them, and instead of resetting and switching the ball, they would just do a move, do a Maradona, do scissors, whatever it was, a fake shot, and they would get through. And that's because we're in Division 3. So I knew that going in, but there's a lot of work for that 2014 team. While we did have possession in the other team's half for, I would say, just about the whole game, and we did dominate that point of view. our tactical understanding just wasn't there. Players' positioning wasn't there, and that's to be expected, I think, especially because it was their first game. The biggest problem that we had with that 2014 team was that our defenders, they kind of shifted way too much and were all over the place. So the reset and switch wasn't there. Having said that, we did it a lot. We switched the ball from side to side. And that goes back to three of those players playing up 1 year and playing up 2 years for the past 2 years. So they were part of our 2013, 2012 team. So they've played at very high levels. So to go down into Division Three, and actually the player that has been playing up with us, so he's a 2014. He's been playing with the 2012s. He ended up scoring, I think, 3 or 4 goals. He ended up scoring most of our goals. 2015s and 16s, I put them mainly in attacking positions, and they had a lot of shots on the net. But the shots weren't great shots. They weren't hard. They weren't into the corners. But for their first game ever, I thought that 2014 team did really well. I was actually, out of all the teams that played, out of all the players that played, the player I would say I was most impressed with, I would say, was our 2014 goalkeeper. From the point of view, he didn't have to make that many saves, but from a player's point of view, his tactical awareness was great. I spoke to him a lot during the game to tell him to move up, but he's an Edison type goalkeeper. That's how I trained him to be. I trained him from the past 2 years to play with his feet. So we're very comfortable passing back to him, and he's very good distributing the ball, and that makes such a difference for us, and he's an extra player. So I was very, very impressed with him, and as you can hear from my voice, it was a long weekend. Getting back to those to the games and having to yell, to get players' attention from the other side. Never yell in a malicious way. That's yell to get a player's attention. You can hear it in my voice. That's what happens after 4 games. So, I was really impressed with him. And then our 2011 goalkeeper, his shot-stopping ability is next level. He's absolutely fantastic. And that goes into our 1v1s. He has been playing with the 2010s a year up in the 1v1s, and it's just shot after shot during practice. When I watch other practices with goalkeepers, they end up facing, maybe 3 shots, 4 shots, within 4 minutes. So that's like a shot a minute or maybe 2 shots a minute. And those shots aren't realistic shots because they can see usually it's like a crossing drill or something like that where they can see the ball the whole time. And they don't have to really react to it. They can see it coming. With the 1v1s, within a minute, there are times where he sees 5-6 shots. So after he makes a save, he has to, while he's on the ground, make a reaction save. And it is one of the best things that we've done for our goalkeepers. I think from the 1v1s, yes, our players are getting better and better, but the rapid pace in which our goalkeepers are getting better and better is just so exponential. It's ridiculous. And we essentially have 3 goalkeepers in the academy right now, and 2 of those I trust explicitly to make saves. The 2014 goalkeeper I trust to make. He's made some incredible saves in practice, and he saved every shot that came. The reason the other team scored a goal on us was because I play my goalies. They're essentially almost at half when we have the other team, when we're in the other team's half. So one of the goals was a weak shot from around half that he just kind of let go because he thought it was going out and it was really far away, so he didn't know that. But every shot was stopped. And our 2011 goalkeeper, he's made some diving saves. He made 3-4 saves in the 2010 game and with the 2011 game as well, because he's our goalkeeper playing up a year. So he's absolutely fantastic. Except the problem with the 2011 and the 2013 goalkeepers is their feet. Unlike our 2014, who grew up playing and then decided to play a goalkeeper role. These two have just been goalkeepers, so we're going to really try and get them into rondos, and because they're a big part of that, because we reset a lot. So a lot of the time they struggle with their first touch, and that was actually a problem that we saw with a lot of our teams, the first touch. So we're going to be doing a lot more rondos, and my other coach as well, he's going to take players during sessions that really need that extra help with that first touch and go and do rondos for an hour. So that's really going to help, I think, the team moving forward. Having said all that, the 2010s played really well, but we kind of had two shifts. We had one 2010, one 2011, and that 2011 shift is where we got scored on twice. So it ended up being 3-1, and so that was a little tough. Our U12 game, which is our 2011s, 2012s, ended up losing 3-1. We were in the game. I think the game was really back and forth. But our 2012s, having played Division II last year, now going Division II a year up, it's a really big jump for them. Our 2011s were fantastic, and they did really well. But our 2012s, they really struggled a little bit. It took them a while to get into the game. They ended up getting a penalty shot when they were up 2-1, and that kind of sealed the game for them. And who else? Our 2013s, they're just playing up a year, and it's difficult. It was a 2013 team with two 2012s playing there, playing up a year. So they did really well. The other team that we played against was pretty good as well. So they're playing in the first division. So that's going to be a really, really big challenge for them. So that was a tough game, but they did really well. Their 1v1 ability was great. We have a kid who's so short, but every single time he got the ball in the wing, he played against someone twice his size, he destroyed him 1v1, like every single time, and it was fantastic to watch. So that was great. And then lastly, our 2014's first game ever. They were so excited, and parents were so excited, and just to kind of finally have that team together. That's a team that I'm really focusing on. The talk, right, where we're trying to bring everyone together, and we have a lot of really selfish players, which is what we want, and we're just trying to make sure that their attitude is great. And the selfishness, the 1v1s, is brilliant. Like, their 1v1 ability is next level. So I'm really excited for that team. My talk with them at the beginning of the game had nothing to do with tactics. It was about us becoming a family now, really supporting each other, and really making sure that if one player struggles, if one player loses the ball, we don't blame them. We go and we win it back for them. If we get scored on, we go and give our goalkeeper a high five. And they did okay with that, you know. These are just themes that we're going to need to continue to work on during training, during the games, and continue with their 1v1s and tactics. That's going to be something that's pretty big. So that was the weekend in a nutshell. And I want to thank Vio. Vio is our sponsor again. So thank you, Vio. If you're looking for a Vio, absolutely fantastic to be able to, from an administrative point of view, to use it to show games, highlights, things like that on YouTube. Makes it really easy. So we have a link now. We don't have a code because we got $200 off, not $100 off. So if you're looking for a VO, you can use the code there. If you can't find it, you can always send me an email and I'll send it to you. So not a problem there. Thank you, VO, for sponsoring the show. And let's move on to some of the main topics today. So there's going to be a lot of little things today. I know the episode is called Different Lines from the Ball. Lines from the Ball, sorry. But there's a lot of little things that I gathered this week that I want to talk about, and they're all really good. So that was just kind of the big one. So let's talk about that firstly, and then I'll talk about the other more little things that I also found. But essentially, when we're talking about tactical awareness and positioning and movement off the ball, one of the most important concepts to understand is the lines that we've created, the half spaces. And the half spaces I've talked about 100 times, but you want to put a limit on the number of players in a specific half space. Why? Because if there are a lot of players in the half space, let's say if all the players are in the center space, then it's a shorter amount of space for the defending team to defend. So let's say the ball is on the wide side, on the wide space, and the winger has it. We talk about the fullback, because we're playing 9v9, being in a different space, in a different line than the player in the wide space. So they're in the half space. And because of that idea, we can talk about having a maximum of 2 players in a half space at once, absolute maximum at 9v9. And I would say the only time that there are 2 players in the half space is when our goalkeeper has the ball. We have our 2 defenders in the half space, and we have our 2 attacking mids in the half space. Other than that, no players should be in the same half space. And what that's going to do is that's going to really spread out the opponent, and it's going to make them defend from wide space to wide space, which opens up little pockets for us. And I think if I look at the 2011s, 2012s, that's something that we really struggled with. And the reason we struggled with that was because our 2012s, who have never played 9v9, because last year they played 7v7, they didn't understand the concept yet of, and they still don't, of playing in a different half space than their teammate. So we ended up in a lot of kind of dogfights and a lot of just crowded areas, and that's not really our style. We want to spread the opponent out so we can receive the ball in a 1v1 and attack and beat them. But a lot of the time we were receiving the ball and we were receiving it in like a 2 against 1 or like a 3 against 2. So we didn't really have the right numbers, and it was, again, the tactical understanding just wasn't there yet. So I think as we continue the season and training, and especially the Zoom sessions with VO are going to be really, really key to this, because they're going to be able to see their mistakes. And because they'll be able to see their mistakes, we'll be able to show exactly where they should be. And that's why I really love VO. I really love to use that tool there. So that's kind of the first thing. And when you're implementing this, again, it doesn't matter what formation you're playing. It doesn't matter how many players are on the field. You can always set that based on what you want. So if you're playing 11v11, the rule's probably not going to be the same, right? You're not going to say that other than in building out of the back, you should never be in the same half space as someone else, right? Because now there are 11 players. But you could say that it is now a maximum of 2 players in a half space, right? And that could be on the weak side, or it could be on the strong side. That when the ball is on the strong side, which it always is, then you can have a specific number of players that are maxed out at a half space based on what you want. So, for example, let's talk about something that happened with Manchester City a while ago, and I talked about this before. Let's say one of your players gets red carded, right? So now you're down a player. So instead of saying, let's really space things out, instead now we want to actually play on half the field because we're down a player. So we want to actually reduce the space so we don't have to worry on defense as much of spreading out. So it really depends on the situation, but you can make, based off your tactics, based off your style of play, you can really start to understand and say things that can maximize or minimize where you want the possession to be.
So I'm really excited about this.
Look, I've made it known. You guys are awesome. Thank you for listening. And to be honest, there's a really big community out there that are listening. So I wanted to create a place where we could kind of connect and stuff. I'm sure there are so many of you that have some really great knowledge, and definitely I know when I was listening to the show back when Tom did it that I wanted to share. So I want you to have a platform that you can do that as well. So I decided to create a Facebook group. So it's Coaching Soccer Weekly. You can look it up on Facebook. and then ask to join, and that's it. And then you can join and you can post whatever you want on there. Obviously, I'll oversee it to make sure that there's nothing offensive or anything like that. But I think it'll be a really good way to kind of, if there's something you want to share, a session, idea, you have a question, 'cause it's a big community. So I thought that would be a really cool way and something really nice. I get a lot of really amazing emails from some amazing people all across the world. And I know if we had a Facebook group like that and, maybe you decide to move to, I don't know, Japan or the US or England or anywhere around the world. I've gotten emails from some pretty cool places. So be a great way to connect with other people too. So I thought it would just be really nice. And so if that's something you're interested in, feel free to join the group. It is just Coaching Soccer Weekly. You can look it up on Facebook. And if you can't find it, let me know, because that probably means I did something wrong. I don't really create Facebook groups, but I thought this would be nice. So that's that. Before I end this show, there's a couple of little things. And little things, I mean very little things that I saw throughout the week. And I think this is a really cool segment that I'll try and do. Some small coaching points that I've heard throughout the week by looking at YouTube videos and listening to maybe other podcasts or things like that. So the first one actually comes from, I was watching, is it CBS? One of those. They were in New York, and it was like Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher. So I think it was like that crew of people. They're on like CBS or something, one of those channels. Unless I'm completely wrong and I heard it somewhere else. I don't know. I listen to so much stuff. But what they said about defending, or whoever it was that said it, really just kind of I thought was really cool. So I wanted to share that with you. And it was 3 words. That's all. It was quick, slow, low, which I really, really like. I like that a lot. So essentially you approach the player quickly, then you slow down and get low. So quick, slow, low. Absolutely love it. And I think we're going to add that to our 1v1s. Just another kind of, obviously, we talk about in between the ball and the net. We talk about arm over the ball. We talk about surfboard. We talk about quick feet. We talk about fake attack, but we don't talk about the speed of how fast we approach the ball. So quick, then slow, then low. I love that. So that was really great. The other small thing that I saw this week was actually on Joner One-on-One, a very popular YouTube channel. And he was doing passing exercise. And he said something that just I've never really connected, and I thought he did a really good job. And it was to open your chest in the direction of where your first touch is, and that's going to make it a lot easier. A lot of the time, I see some of my younger players, when they receive that ball and they try and touch it away, if their chest is facing forward and they're trying to touch the ball to the left, then it gets away from them. And the reason that is because they don't have balance, right? So if you turn your chest towards where you're going to end up going, then that's going to give you a lot more balance and obviously get low and all that. But I really like that. The other really cool thing that I thought of with that is you can start to fake with your chest. So you can fake one way with your chest and then go the other way, right? So it could be used as a fake as well. So I thought those 2 things were really cool. And yeah, those were really just the only 2 things. I do want to share with you just an amazing story of something that happened in the 2014 game. Our youngest goalie, he first of all, he's great. Like, love the kid to death. And it was just one of those moments. There were 3, 4 moments like that where it's just kids playing soccer, and it was nice. There was one with one of our forwards. He fell down, and he acted like he was like dead for a second, but he caught the ball between his legs and couldn't. And wouldn't let anyone touch it. Then he got up with the ball in between his legs, did like a hop with it, and then played it out. And you just kind of heard the parents laugh. There was that. Our goalkeeper, who, again, my goalkeepers fly out of the net. And he was at half, received the ball, tried to make a pass, ended up hitting the defender and coming back to him because he was being pressed. Actually went in as though he does in our 1v1s and just caught the ball with his hands and just kind of held it there. And there's just a moment when I was watching on video, on VO, and he's just looking at the ref being like, I didn't do anything wrong. And it's really, it's those moments throughout the game. And it's just, they're kids having fun, they're kids playing a game, and that's it. And if you can keep that in your mind throughout the games, I mean, that's just amazing. So I was so happy this weekend. The three losses and whatever with the older kids, but I was so happy to see this 2014 team play because those kids really do mean a lot to me. They've played with me for a long time, and just the excitement, in the group messaging, all the parents were telling stories about how excited their kids were. Just to have them together playing, that was really nice, and just put a smile on my face the whole time. So hopefully you have those moments, and that's why I always end the show the same way, and I'm going to as well. That you must enjoy this game because it is so beautiful, it is so amazing, and it can do such amazing things for the players' confidence and just for the parents who are smiling, laughing. Great weekend, and I'm excited for next weekend as well. Thanks for listening to another episode of Coaching Soccer Weekly. It was really great to see all our teams play last week and just to get back into things. It was interesting to see the facilities that we're going to be playing in with our 2014s and our 2012-11 teams. So the facilities are really good. It's a bubble on turf, so really nice facilities. They're a little bit small, but that's okay. This weekend, our 2014s are playing. We lost one of our better players this week, so it really changes the dynamic of this team moving forward. So I'm excited to kind of see how we do. It really does change a lot of things, but I'll get back to you next week on how that is. Our 2013s are also playing this weekend, so they're playing up a year, and that's going to be really difficult for them. So I will keep you posted as everything happens, as I always do. So until next week, enjoy the journey, enjoy the moments, but most importantly, enjoy the game. Coaching Soccer Weekly is a production of World Class Coaching. All rights reserved.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end, and you can check out more of our videos right here. And if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and the subscribe button.